Living at the Delaware beaches, is it actually worth it?
It certainly is.
Why?
A lot to do with the beach. There's some pros and cons to it, obviously.
I want to get into those, yeah.
Living down there in the wintertime, there's not going to be a whole lot going on. So a lot of people really like that. They call them Taurons. The Taurons are out of the area, and now it's just them. And
that's got to be a Newcastle thing. We just say
Taurons before?
We just call them out-of-staters.
I've heard transplants.
But transplants, not Taurons.
I've heard transplant. Yeah, they came from Jersey. Now they're. But we were just talking about before this that there are a lot of out-of-staters down at the beaches. Some people view that as a con. I personally don't.
Right.
If you go to any other big major area, you don't really, for example, like the easy ones like New York or Miami or St. Louis, like most of the people that are there aren't from there originally or are one generation removed from not having been there. So what's really the big deal about that? Why do people find like Taurons or whatever you said to be an issue?
I think it's because of the traffic and the extra on everything. You know what I mean? Like you can't get into the restaurants you want to get into, the traffic everywhere. It takes forever to get places, like that sort of thing. I think that's the problem. I don't think it necessarily has to do with the out-of-staters because what's the difference if my neighbor has a Washington, D.C. license plate or a Delaware license plate? What's the difference? But it's definitely, Delaware Beach is definitely a place for people from Maryland, people from Washington, D.C., and obviously people from Delaware, even New Jersey and Pennsylvania all go down to the Delaware beaches. So
that's a fact.
So there's just a lot of people. I mean, we know that living on the east side of Route 1 will be very difficult in the summer months because you'll have to go out on Route 1 everywhere you'll go. And obviously, especially on the weekends when you have the changeovers with the rentals, those will be difficult.
Yeah.
Now, living on the west side of Route 1 will not be as bad because you don't have to go anywhere near Route 1. You'll have all the services you want, most of them anyway, west, to get to a grocery store.
I like that. Yeah, like you're talking like Milton, Millsboro, Long Neck.
Sure. Even Rehoboth on the other side of Route 1.
5 Points
on
area.
the west side. Yeah. On the west side, you don't have to mess with that if you don't want to. I mean, I have a place obviously in Long Neck, obviously west of there. I go over to Rehoboth maybe once or twice a summer because I don't want to mess with the crowds. I don't need to go anywhere near there.
Most of my clients do the same thing. They stay on that side. Even if you're going as far south as like Ocean View, same thing. They want to be on that side close enough where getting to the beach isn't a 15, 20-minute hike. But they don't have to deal with the traffic they want to. 7 minutes later.
And that's where Ocean View, Dagsboro, place like they're outside of Bethany.
Yes.
We talked about like those like towns that are near the big towns. Like even up north in Wilmington, like there's towns that are growing simply because of their proximity to Wilmington. Ocean View is like one of those for Bethany.
Yep.
Harbison, Milton
Frankfurt.
for like Lewis, and like those are.
Yep.
I love those areas, and that's like that west of Route 1 zone you're talking about.
Yeah, and some of those places like Harbison and areas like that, I'm not sure are being built up necessarily because they're close to the beach, but just because there's lots of available area and there's lots of dirt.
I'd argue there's lots of available dirt that's also near the beaches.
Possibly.
Because there's lots of available dirt all throughout Sussex.
I think that's subjective too. Because
subjective to what?
So proximity to what you think is a beach house living at the beach. Because I've sold houses in Milford, especially the condos, where some people view that as a beach condo because it's 30 minutes from the beach. No use of driving 3 to 4 hours when they want to come visit or do it in the summer.
Yeah, it's up to the person on how they view that. My father-in-law always said, as far as like living at the beach, like if you have to get in your car to go to the beach, what's the difference of living 20 minutes away versus 5?
Yes.
And paying a lot less money. There's walk to the beach distance, which is a lot of money.
A lot of money.
Obviously.
Yeah.
But if you have to get in your car with your chairs, what's the difference? Why wouldn't you just drive 20 minutes instead of 5 and pay half as much money?
I'll be honest. That's why a lot of them have looked in Milford because you can buy a condo for $250, $280 in Milford instead of getting in Rehoboth, Lewis. Now you're at 5, 6, and then walking to the beach, you're talking millions at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So for like those that want to, like they live in New York.
Yeah.
They live in Albany up in there, but they want to be closer to the beaches, like you said.
Yeah.
Like what's the difference? You're already like 30 minutes from the beach. You were 8 hours from the beach. What's the difference?
So much easier at that point.
I like that take. And that keeps you from having to get into, like, for those that are listening to this have no idea about Delaware, Milford isn't considered a beach town.
It's not. Yeah.
But you're on Route 1 and you're in Sussex County. It's like the first town in the Sussex that it's close enough for someone who wouldn't normally even be in Delaware is what you're saying. Is that
100%, yeah.
I like that. But in the same argument, why not go out west? Would you say it's easier to be, because let's say 35, 40 minutes from the beach if you're in Milford, give or take.
Yeah. Well, I mean, probably more with the traffic.
If there was traffic. Okay, so let's go and call 45 to an
45
hour
probably.
and during the hot season maybe. So where would I go west to accomplish that same thing? Could I go into like a Laurel? Are we considering that beach territory by that argument?
I mean, you could.
Laurel,
I think it's the vibe,
I think
though. It's
Laurel
different.
is about the same as Milford.
I'd low farther.
I like Milford better than Laurel as a town.
Rehoboth-wise, yeah.
Now, it's different if we're talking about.
Have you been to Laurel in a minute?
It's different.
I literally just did shows last week.
If we're
there.
talking about,
It's nicer than it was 5 years ago. I'll give
if
you
we're
that.
talking about vibe, it's different from talking about distance, like you just said, like
Yeah.
you alluded to. Like,
Yeah.
like again, the vibe of like living in Laurel, like you're kind of.
By yourself.
Yeah, you're out in the middle of nowhere. Now you're within the. Now Milford's kind of getting built up. It's not
Yeah.
quite like that.
Sweet.
But to your take, why not take that lot out in the middle of the woods that's 45 minutes, 30 minutes from the beach?
If that's your lifestyle, that's where you want
Yeah.
to be. We just talked about kind of proximity with driving. That same thing will do with like, what do you want out of this experience?
Yes.
Do you want to be able to walk to places down to the beach area? That's obviously budget related as well. But like, if you have to go west for 20 to 30 minutes, like you might be in a cornfield.
Yeah, I'd say the biggest leg up we have on places like Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, like Virginia Beach areas. Like if you even try to get within 20, 30 minutes of those beaches,
Oh, you're done.
It's still really expensive.
Yeah, true.
Is Delaware the last place on the East Coast that has availability, land that can be built on 30 to 45 minutes from the beach that isn't like legitimately, I don't even want to say not multi-million. It's not even to get a lot out there. You could get it for 150 grand, a nice wooded, large, multiple acres ready to build on. And you are still only a hop and skip from the beaches. I don't know if that exists anywhere up the coast. Because I know if you go down the coast through Maryland, you're not finding that anywhere in Maryland along the coast. And then if I get down into Virginia, it's becoming not a chance.
not a
And then it seems to remain that way, difficult to find all the way down the coast. And again, what I'm saying is like Florida is amazing. South Carolina, all these beaches are incredible all the way to the East Coast. But is Delaware truly the last available place to be near one of these nice beaches on the East Coast without having to pay an extreme price tag?
It's possible. It's very difficult for me to speak on other states' situations.
Because
but for
north
the
of
most
us, there's
part-
not really anything else, right? Jersey Beach. Well, yeah, but again, same argument. Manhattan Beach in New York,
No.
again,
Yeah.
much very same argument.
Yeah.
Is there any real beach above that that's a beach? I don't know of any.
so.
No,
Of course, like Delaware, we have like bay beaches, but no one really considers Broadkill Beach to be one of our main beaches.
No,
Yeah.
not at all.
And that's very true. I mean, as far as the
Could just be an
cost.
opportunity. Could just be an
The
opportunity.
opportunity to be
Yeah.
close. Yeah. What's interesting is I just got back recently from a vacation to the Outer Banks. And the Outer Banks obviously has much more beach frontage, miles and miles and miles of it, rather than Delaware, who's got very little. And like you can get a really nice place on the beach for like $1 million. Where like if you want a place on the beach in Delaware, it'd be like $6-7 million.
Okay.
So inland there, you can still get something. You can still be in a beach town and pay
A decent amount.
Pay a decent amount.
But that's due to just the amount of supply available.
Correct.
And in some of those areas, not that I don't want to say vacation-y, some of those areas I've heard have gotten a little kitschy with the fact that almost all of their commerce does come from tourists and travelers in.
OBX,
And that's a little,
yeah.
and that's kind of the difference of what we're talking about is that a lot of people here, there's a lot of different industry close to this beach.
Yeah, it doesn't feel kitschy
And down there,
like that.
down there, their whole everything would be tourist related.
Yeah. Like if you go to Orlando or
the
Kissimmee,
jobs-
like
Yeah.
so the jobs are based on that. That's the industry. Yeah.
And I also think OBX across the board. Like if you go to OBX, it's fun, but you're in OBX. That's the
Outer Banks,
Outer
yeah.
Banks.
Yeah.
It's the only vibe there versus Delaware, where Lewis is different than Rehoboth, which is different than Dewey. You have different experiences you can go to
Very
versus
true.
here we are. We're just gonna do this one thing on the
a good
beach for
take.
3 days.
Yeah,
That's a
there's
real
some
good
different
take.
places that they vary just a little bit, but you're right. Like Kitty Hawk down through like
Yeah.
Nag's Head and stuff like that. Killdevil Hills is pretty much the same thing.
Nag's Head?
Nag's Head, yeah.
We're talking about OBX?
Yeah,
You guys know a lot about the Outer Banks.
Yeah.
It's fun to
Never
learn.
been.
Yeah, I'm about to say, me and Carla, you're just saying things. You're
I've
like-
gone there every year for like the last 15 years. So I
Really?
Yeah, we go there for spring break.
So then, I mean, what's the big pro that they would have? You would say over other than price tag. You mentioned that's a good one if you want to physically be on the water,
Right.
But what would you say is the big pro that maybe they have over us, and then maybe one for Delaware?
Again, less money just because there's more beach frontage. Maybe a little bit better weather. Honestly, whenever we go, it's very comparable to here. Like 6 hours south doesn't really help
Doesn't
you.
change it. Big deal.
Not a whole lot. But
I'd say water sports.
yeah, water sports, that sort of thing. There's probably way more of that.
It's better there than here.
And it's touristy stuff, that we don't necessarily have as much because we just don't have enough the land for it, that sort of thing. So,
touristy sports like jet skis and stuff.
Yeah, like jet skis, rental. I mean, you can do stuff like that here, but just it's not as plentiful.
Limited.
Yeah,
It's
limited.
Yeah, get a parachute on the back of the boat type thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think since we have
Parasailing
like
and stuff
rougher waters, our waters are like too rough for that.
Doesn't sound like
It's
something
not
I'd
great
like.
for surfing here. It's not great for surfing here. You can do it a little bit,
Yeah.
But
not a whole lot.
they're the same way too, where they have the ocean on one side and the sound on the other. So there's a lot of stuff that goes on in the sound. It's just much like us, like down in like Dewey, for instance. Like you're not going jet skiing in the ocean. The rentals are on the bay side. So that's available there too. But I wouldn't necessarily want to live there just because again it's all touristy stuff.
Yeah, it's different
the main
vibes
industry.
completely.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are our favorite beaches? We mentioned different vibes for all of our beaches. I'll rock it first. Carl, I'm especially interested to hear what you say because you haven't brought any names of any beaches yet. I love Cape Henlopen. We haven't mentioned it yet as a beach because it's not the boardwalk beach. It's not there's a bunch of outlets it's in a state park. 20-minute drive right from Lewis-ish, maybe only 15 because it's right off. I love that beach. Got the nature trail. It's got great sand. It doesn't have a big undertow. And it's really, I think it's the first beach past the canal or past like Bay. It's like the first beach in our strip of beaches, our most northernish beach. What do you guys think? Carla?
Would that be above Lewis?
I believe so. Yeah, it's of to the left of Lewis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's where it curves
just
up.
barely
I believe Lewis is on the. I could be. It's above Lewis in that concern.
We should know this stuff.
Yeah, Rehoboth, Lewis, and Cape are all within an eye shot of each other.
Yeah.
They're all right next to one another. So, but I prefer Cape Henlopen. Yes, you don't get as much in terms of like there's not like a big food court. It's a little snack bar.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that.
So I have two. I prefer Cape Henlopen when I take my kids.
Okay.
Because of the parking. It's easy to park.
Very easy to park.
They have bathrooms, and it's usually not as packed. So
I hear
usually
you.
I bring my tent, pop it up, kids have fun, whatever. But then when it's just me, my wife, and friends, I love Dewey.
Dewey.
Just go to the bars.
Dewey is a party beach.
Have a
1000%.
good time. So Dewey is when we're just us two having fun with friends.
Just south of Rehoboth.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if we're going to go that vibe, I agree.
Yeah.
Like, Dewey is the party beach. You want to go have fun. Rehoboth is like the family-ish beach. Like, you want to go get food.
Just
you want to go and
Rehoboth is always
ride.
packed. So
I feel like Bethany though is like grown up Dewey.
yeah, that's like
I feel
you
like
want to be old. That's like
Yeah.
because they got really good restaurants and some good bar and
It
grills
is.
too.
They do.
Some good bar and grills, and then eventually you're just like screw all this, and you go to Long Neck, and you go where Mike's at to Paradise.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Where's your spot down there?
Yeah, so when I'm down there, we don't leave much because we have Paradise Grill right there. We have a beach. We have jet skis and a boat and stuff like that. So
And
we
people
don't-
from
we
the
don't go
outside,
much.
this may be the first time they're hearing of Long Neck. Can
Yeah.
you put Long Neck on real quick?
Oh,
Describe
sure.
what that's
So
like?
Long Neck / Millsboro on the Indian River Bay. So a lot of boating, a lot of fishing, a lot of jet skiing, a lot of stuff going on over there. You can take a boat to Dewey, park it right over there at the rudder. So there's that kind of travel as well. So my place is in a place called Potnets. So there's 6 Potnets communities. I'm in the largest one, which is Bayside, which is like 2,500 units. It's a pretty big neighborhood. But they have the Paradise Grill there, which used to be kind of just a thing for the neighborhood when it was small, but now they've kind of opened up to everybody.
It's a big deal.
And
now.
a lot of the locals and a lot of the people that have been there for a long time do not like it that you just let anybody in there at all time because it's a gated community.
Well, they just let anybody in.
Anybody who wants to. So, but anyway, so I have this, we have this bar that's really cool. They have a lot of live music. They have good food. Like they pretty much everything you need. So we just take a golf cart over there and that's kind of what we do. We rarely stray out. But as far as the beach is concerned, like Rehoboth's my favorite. Now I only want to go there a couple times a year because it is very packed.
Yes.
But also, they could have all the junk food that you could think of. Thrasher's Fries, Grottos.
All the kid stuff.
Core Brothers ice cream, like all that kind of stuff. And then the Funland
Funland.
Which I'd like to take
it's a
my kids
landmark.
to.
Couple
Yeah,
arcade
landmark.
options.
You know,
It's a landmark
not
spot.
not the coolest amusement park you're gonna find,
Like
but
the little
but everybody went there when they were kids and
arcade.
stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Play some skee ball. Yeah.
So
What ball?
Skee ball.
Skee ball?
Yeah.
There's no T on the just FYI, just for the future. So just wanted to let you know for the future, just in case you say that to somebody else. So Funland is a spot that's been around for forever. It is a landmark, but I have heard rumors that it's going to eventually sell, that they're like looking actively. That's a rumor though. I could see it though, because it has been around for forever.
It's a
They need
lot
to redo
selling
it.
It does
They
need a
to
little bit of
redo something,
retuning,
yeah.
revamping, and maybe that's what they mean. Maybe they want to sell to somebody else who will come in and just revamp it, re-energize it.
Yeah.
I hope they don't get rid of it because it is kind of a landmark.
it is definitely cool, but you can imagine that the real estate's worth way more than what they bring in the summer.
Yeah.
But then again, they probably bring in a lot of summer.
That's a big spot.
Yeah.
It pretty much takes up the whole block of that section of the boardwalk.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, there's been more things moving down there recently.
What would the valuation on that be?
That's a very good.
That's like a half acre of boardwalk
Yeah.
with a lot of infrastructure.
Stupid money.
You think it gets into 8 digits? You think I think it's high 7.
Because it's commercial, yeah.
It's high 7 digits.
Seventh, at least.
Yeah, maybe. I don't even want to throw a number on it, but it'd be a lot.
It'd be a lot.
It'd be interesting. So, last take for anybody looking at the beaches, is thinking of not as a tourist location, thinking of it as a living location. Someone's thinking of considering moving to, retiring to the beaches. I'll end it, but I'll also kind of start off on what are like the unforeseen benefits of this area. I personally see that a lot of people find Delaware or hear Delaware is boring. Food's it's like Jersey. And then they get here and then they're like, these restaurants are fantastic. There's so many great mom and pops. This isn't a tourist trap. So there's real commerce from these towns actively working within these towns. It's not just a bunch of tourist employees. And then on the actual things to do side, just like you mentioned, you get into a place like Potnet's and boom, everything you need is right there within Potnet's. You're not even gonna have to venture out of that. And there's so many other little small ecosystems of campgrounds and bayside areas. And of course the main beach strip. I think people underestimate the amount of things they're gonna be able to do and how good the food and environment things are as well.
People that say it's boring, I
still don't get it.
I'd like to talk to them individually. Like, what do you want to do that we can't do? We can't ski. Okay, that's one thing you're not going to do. But like, other than that, like, what do you want to do?
Parasailing.
Can I jet ski?
You can jet ski.
Can I parasail?
Yes.
What about a water jet ski? Like when I'm on the water.
They
like,
have those.
Yeah.
Do it.
Can I scuba dive?
Yes.
Yes.
Where do I scuba dive?
Where do you scuba dive?
I don't know if you're going
I
to
don't
scuba
think
dive.
they do that.
They do it at the beach. They do it.
Unverified.
I don't
Where?
because I don't
They
think
have
I
like
don't
the
think
sessions and everything. Yeah, they go out there and do it.
I
Can
don't
I
think
scuba dive in Delaware?
I don't think the water is going to be clear enough to see anything.
That might be a very fair take.
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
That's
wanna
a different
do it.
question,
I
though. That's a
wouldn't
different
know
question.
what to
Can
do
you
that.
scuba dive versus is it fun to scuba dive? I am not
Is
doing
it
it.
safe to scuba dive?
20 feet underwater, not able to see my
Do
own
you
hand?
want to do it?
No.
Sean, we're doing Fun Friday again. Was that?
Yeah,
In the
not going to
beach.
happen. Scuba diving is definitely not happening. So, again, your argument would be what is the thing that people can't do? People argue nightlife.
Yeah.
That's definitely not an
Oh, I
argument
love
at the
Dewey
beaches.
Beach. Just go to Dewey Beach.
Yeah, it's
You'll be
definitely
all
not an argument.
Yeah,
to
exactly.
Right.
Dewey Beach
Water
is
sports,
funny,
we just said is not an argument. Bar, grills, restaurants.
Bar
Plenty.
grills, restaurants,
Tons.
especially
Plenty.
down there. Like you get, and
What about for kids?
In every town, Lewis. Oh, let's go back to the bar and restaurant.
Yeah, bar.
Let's go back to the bars. So like, everywhere, Lewis, Rehoboth, Dewey, Bethany, all the way down.
Fenwick,
There's
yeah.
lots and lots of good stuff that you can eat and drink. And
You
stuff
could
like that.
eat at a new restaurant every single day. And
Probably the
still
whole
go through
summer,
a year.
yeah.
Go all year.
year,
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
And then still have somewhere else to go. Something
Yeah.
new to try.
and good stuff too, not just
Oh,
not
good
just
food,
places.
yeah.
What about for kids, families? What are we doing there?
Funland.
Funland. Just bring the Funland over here.
There's a movie theater.
Yeah, there's a movie theater. They're at the
Yeah.
beaches. There's go-karting. There's mini golfing.
Yep.
Lefties or what was it called?
Lefties.
Lefties. I love lefties.
If you have
It's a
young
tag,
kids,
actually.
though, I would recommend Cape Henlopen or Lewis
Cape
because
is
you're
fun.
not
As a
on
beach.
you're not on the ocean.
Yeah.
Well, Rehoboth
Much
has
less.
probably the best family boardwalk
Boardwalk,
too.
yeah.
And then Lewis is a great downtown. I like, again, one of those off cities, Milton. Awesome
Milton's cool.
downtown.
Oh, yeah.
Such a cool little downtown. Big old lake.
vibe.
Yeah, it is a vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Other
is a
things that we're thinking other things that are like people don't expect to get out of the Delaware beaches, and then end up.
I mean, you like shopping. There's
Outlets.
outlets.
Oh, shopping. I didn't
Well,
even bring
tax
that
free.
up.
Yeah,
Tax-free
tax
shopping.
free.
Golf.
Yeah, golf.
Yeah,
Back
golf.
to
Golf's great.
back to kids. Like there's go karting and there's all kinds like jungle
actually,
gyms, water
has
slides.
like two
jungle
or three water
gyms.
parks down there.
Yeah.
They do. They have
Yeah.
the water parks.
Yeah. So there's plenty to do.
You know
over-
something people forget is you mentioned Cape. Taking the ferry from Cape or from Lewis after the Cape
yeah, the
in
Cape and
Jersey.
Lewis ferry.
100%.
Yep.
Yeah, Cape
I mean,
May.
yeah,
Go to the
Ocean-
wineries
Ocean
over
City's
there.
right down there
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, Delaware. We claim Maryland Ocean City because you just did
Yes.
say Jersey.
Yeah.
How far are you from Jersey Ocean City when you go over the Cape May Ferry?
45 minutes.
45 minutes. That's not bad either.
No.
Because you can take your car over. I've never.
Yeah.
I don't want to go on the Cape May Ferry. but
Really?
You don't like. You don't
I
like
did when I
ocean.
was. I went when I was 12, and I don't think I've been since.
No.
You're scared?
I mean,
He doesn't like
I don't. I'm not a big fan of open water. I'm not a big fan of looking all 360 degrees and not seeing any land. It freaks me the heck out.
Does that happen on the Cape May Lewis ferry?
We're in the
Yes.
ocean. I'd have to imagine
Yeah.
it happens.
Yeah, in the ocean. You're going between the two states.
It's about 45
That's
minute ferry.
okay. What is it? A lake? It's the ocean. let's not, come on now.
You can get a drink on it though. You can calm down and get a drink on there. There's a bar.
Unless I can get off of it onto land,
Just
I
stare
don't
at the
care.
bar the entire time.
Like, yeah, if there's a constant bridge to land at any one moment that's
Yeah.
constantly there, maybe.
Maybe.
I'm not a big fan of open water.
Just imagine
so
it.
the water sports there, not a big deal. I love the touristy sides of things. And when I say touristy, just the things to do because they have put in a lot of these places, a lot of these restaurants, a lot of this entertainment because of tourist traffic, because there is commerce to be made. But the benefit, as we started kind of with this, is if you're not there in June, July, August, and you're there the other 9 months, you get to reap all those benefits.
Oh, yeah.
These places don't close anymore. The boardwalks are open and rocking during the winter. There's nothing that really closes anymore. So you get those benefits without having, and again, the traffic's not that bad. And it's only on weekends, and it's only in specific areas. And I do think we need to get an Amtrak to fix it. But regardless, I think what you're saying is 100%. The families,
Thank you.
yeah. Mike's always right.
I'd
You
like
need
to
to
be
follow Mike
100%
Richards.
right.
Yeah.
Mike is right on Instagram.
Always.
Last final takes on the beaches, guys. Do's, don'ts, pros, cons, should, shouldn't, hallucinations.
You should get your best bang for your buck here, in my opinion.
Call me to buy a home.
Or me.
No.
No, but I think
Not my
think honestly, living in Delaware beaches, depending on your lifestyle, where you are, you know, if there's work around there for you, something you want to do, whatever, like it's a nice place to live. Absolutely.
Heard.
I think people need to understand when they do complain about there's nothing to do in Delaware, especially the beaches. You can't compare, like, say, New York City is the beach area of Delaware. They're vastly different. You can even say it's Manhattan to Delaware beaches. They're different vibes, and you
Yeah.
have to understand that.
And different price points.
But everything is so freaking close, too.
Yep.
You have everything. Just drive 5 or 10 minutes, and there's a new restaurant. There's a new thing to do.
Yep.
You have action.
Love it.
Very true.
Cool. Hands in, guys.
Yeah.
Beaches on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Beaches.
Not with a T.